Construction is a $10 trillion industry, and a shocking amount of it still runs on paper. Forms, spreadsheets, field updates that land on someone's desk long after it's too late to do anything about them. When the money moves through a big project, it moves slowly, and every delay, every missing signature, every dispute has a price. I'm Dominik Zyskowski, Consulting Director here at Espeo Software, and we'll be talking today with our business analyst Szymon Poczwardowski. Hi, Szymon.
Hi, hello.
We'll find out how blockchain, specifically Hyperledger Fabric and solutions by Espeo Software, can fix a piece of that industry. So, Szymon, how vast is the problem?
As you mentioned already, it's trillions of dollars. But to discuss this on blockchain level, paper can take everything. You can write anything on it. And if you don't have electronic copy, digital twin of papers, of documents, then as usual, you're on construction sites and everywhere where there's a lot of physical work, contractors, general contractors, supervisors, surveyors, all of them work with paper. And when we talk about industrial construction, there's billions, millions of dollars in this industry. So every time there is a big fail that will cost in 2 weeks of delay when it comes to construction ending, so it will delay the start of production. Then there is broken equipment or rework that costs additionally, adding to the delay. So it's a lot of money. And when it is discovered, usually it's too late to find out who is to blame.
Mm-hmm. So usually these big construction projects involved different parties, and how to foster trust between parties.
Yes, exactly. This is where blockchain can shine, because what it gives you, if you're a contractor, this last in the chain, or if you're a general contractor or anyone, you are protected by auditability of blockchain and its decentralized nature. So thanks to that, you are motivated to be best, to make your best when it comes to craftsmanship. Because if you do that, if you provide great craftsmanship and it's recorded on blockchain, you are clean. No one can blame you for what you did because you reported your work. Your work was checked by inspectors, surveyors, or any commissioning party that is on site. Again, when it comes to commissioning party, if they went to site and they found system or anything that was broken, they can report it on blockchain. Okay, they did report it. General contractor did nothing about that, or maybe they did, but they didn't do this on blockchain. They do this only on paper. It's their thing. Right now, you have applications that track work on site, at construction site, but they are not mandatory. They don't really give power or anything to contractors or anyone but general contractor or the investor. They own the software, they own all data, and you as a contractor, as procurement, as logistics, you have no ownership, no influence over the data.
So actually the software is not the biggest problem in that process, in that complex process, right? It's more about finding ways to building this trust between different parties, correct? And blockchain is one of these of the means to do that.
Yes, and for me, with my experience with such projects, there is gratification, instant gratification for all who are doing their job well, that provide good craftsmanship. They are gratified just by safety and knowledge that they are covered. So this is also something that is important for me. Like, you are gratified for being trusted, for being good at your job.
I'm not sure if you know it, but HSBC calls it trust layer, so not a contract replacement. So what does that actually mean?
That's a tricky question, because from what I know, HSBC didn't disclose their business architecture behind their solution. Although yes, this niche would be a great idea to start, like to provide solutions that colonize this area between end users and providers like contractors, specialty contractors, logistics, procurement, producers, manufacturers. Then there is banks, investors who build those industrial sites. And there are general contractors, and there are funds. There is HSBC that supports this whole process. Like, the basic issue in the United States, when it comes to lien waiver, contractors' right is to hold it until they are paid. But then, if there is delay in payment and the contractor will execute lien waiver, there is a lot of paperwork to fix it. For general contractor, for bank, for investor, they need to go, they get proof of payment, etc., etc. Maybe contractor is already somewhere else, at different sites. So there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of administration work, a lot of hours that you need to go through. And with described by you HSBC option, which I would agree with, is to provide framework and infrastructure to create contracts. Like, okay, there is digitized lien waiver, and it is held within smart contract on blockchain, where money will go to the contractor when general contractor, commissioning, or any inspector will required by bank. I will provide information. Okay, yes, they did their job. They did it as contracted. Payment can be released and so immediately.
So it's something like escrow service, or it's a bit similar, or maybe different approach.
Yes, you can say it's escrow, and I suppose escrow would be used there. But the thing is,
the funds are not locked anywhere, right? In the lien waiver approach.
What do you mean?
So you don't have to to freeze your funds if you're paying for the investment and wait just for the confirmation that the phase was somehow completed.
Yes, because HSBC is the last actor in it, and they provide financing. And if you're investor or general contractor, as you said, you don't freeze your own assets. You don't wait for bank to pay you if you're a general contractor. It's immediately between bank and the contractor. General contractor is free. They can focus on their job. They don't need to waste time on paperwork. And again, it's the same with bank. There is no double audit, because right now general contractor, they do their own audit of on-site. Then bank want to do this also. And making it with blockchain reduces amount of audits, amount of paper, documents, and builds trust, because you can make such system with support of HSBC tools and enterprise banking, corporate banking, that we provide valid digital confirmation signature for users that will be legally bounding.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so maybe let's dive more into what Espeo did in that project, because you've been talking about quite complex processes that involves many parties in these big construction projects. So what did Espeo Software actually build, and how did you start?
So we started with product workshops, as usually. And we've built from scratch tool for commissioning and to go through forms that...
Can you explain what commissioning is to our guests?
Yes. So when you have a tank with acid at a construction site, chemical plant, commissioning party goes there and checks, okay, is it mounted properly? Does all pumps work correctly? Like they pump in the right direction, etc., etc. Because when they will sign those forms that everything was done right, it's their responsibility if something will break. If contractor did something wrongly, then commissioning want to prove to general contractor, to insurer. This is also something very important. To insurer, to bank, that they did signal the general contractor, look, there is an issue, this is hazard, and it can result in delays and increase of costs.
Okay, so we started with workshops, and the commissioning module was the first one.
Yes, exactly. We did the user management system authorization, which is very important because we want to be sure that the user that signed the form was indeed the user with proper permissions. That the whole process that is bounding legally was done properly. That we can see that we can move to see the responsibility, and what is very important, like the ledger of actions, the ledger of signatures, the ledger of forms data. This is where we mentioned craftsmanship. This is where you can prove in court or during the construction on site. Look, yesterday or week ago, I signaled it to you. You brought paper that says that I told it about it to you yesterday. So you have auditable, decentralized ledger that proves that I did inform you about this. I did signal it week ago. And today you come to me with forged documents. And this is something that happens, and this is why it is a problem.
Okay, so Szymon, which technology was chosen as the backbone of that ledger?
Okay, when it comes to smart contracts, we chosen .NET. When it comes to front end, it was Next.js, but it's a secondary issue. The most important thing was Hyperledger Fabric, as it provides you with... For me, what is most important over the public networks, with public networks, you give
Because
up...
you have to decide, yeah? You have
Yes.
to decide whether to go for the public blockchain or permissioned one.
Yes.
Private.
When it comes to public network, like Solana or Ethereum or anything, you give up governance to this network. And you have no influence or little influence over the network. There are some networks that provide you with option to build on them private networks, but when it comes to Fabric, it gives you enterprise-grade full control of governance, and you can design it for cooperation with other actors. And when we are talking about such a big system, and we talk in context of big money, you want enterprise-ready corporate system like Fabric that gives you full control over governance, processes, procedures, and full insight and knowledge that no one will change governance of the network without your knowledge. Because you're a participant, maybe you are leading the consortium. If you are a key player, no one will surprise you or will change governance to be more public. Your data won't leak, because public networks by design, usually everything is public. You can provide hashes, you can encrypt data, but still this data is encrypted. Some are afraid of it. With Hyperledger, everything stays private. You are permissions. You view only those things you are permission for. Contractor see only what they need to see. They don't see contracts between investor, HSBC, and general contractor, with procurement, with fabricators.
Gotcha. So this permissions module was very important to build, because not only on the level of features and activities that can be done on the platform, but also on the level of visibility and the transactions that happening and that are stored on the ledger.
Yes, and it's very important that you mentioned transactions, because transactions in the system, but also financial transactions. Finally, this app, this software, this technology was designed to provide support for legal and finance. It was designed to provide a bedrock for legal and financial solutions. So attention to detail with contracts, smart contracts, was very, very important.
Okay, so please walk through one milestone payment on the platform. So paper version versus the build.
So you're asking me about how it would look like if we'll move from pure commissioning or surveying to merging with higher tier software, maybe even such a framework which we discussed for HSBC or JP Morgan, or anything of like top tier banking, corporate banking companies. Well, with current process, it's okay. I report as a contractor, I did my work. It is reported, someone says, commissioning party goes there and they say, yes, you did your work right. Or maybe there is surveyors, depends on your contractor work. Then general contractor sends the documentation to bank. Because of many issues with trust on construction sites with such big investments, usually banks send their own auditors to prove that general contractor what general contractor provided is indeed what is there on construction site. Bank is providing money to general contractor, and general contractor pays to contractor. With blockchain, you provide information. Okay, me as a contractor, I did this work. There is trusted surveyor or commissioning company that with this tool on blockchain takes responsibility and provides this auditable data. So as contractor, I provided lien waiver, I informed that job is done. Someone who is in right provides information in the system, like commissioning party or engineer, anyone. Okay, it is done. General contractor can send someone on site to check it. Just to say, okay, yes, everything is or yeah, just to make sure. And analysts in bank, what they see is, okay, I have a confirmation from commissioning party, a separate company that is insured, and they take responsibility. General contractor said, yes, it is done. Client confirmed that, yes, it is done. Everything is automated. I just click confirm. Okay, money is released and I got lien waiver. After you go through a couple of such constructions where you have this simplified but still robust process, you can go from going through like 5 steps to, okay, contractor reported the work, auditors go there, inspectors goes there and provide information, yes, it was done. And immediately bank accepts it because there is insurance. Any insurance claims would go to this commissioning company.
So Szymon, you also mentioned that this layer, blockchain layer in the system, would be also used for the sake of legal actions or legal activities. But why we should only store the hashes of the documents on chain and keep the real legal documents off chain? Why that approach?
There are two aspects. So when it comes to hashes and storing only basic information, you have a ledger, it is encrypted, it's control sum. If someone will change, maybe you have 1,000 of characters in document. You have this encryption that give you control sum with hash, and you need this hash to decode those this 1,000 characters. If someone changed anything within those 1,000 characters, hash would change, exactly. So there need to be match. If within the ledger there is change, you will find it, and you just can't fake it. You can't forge it because database is decentralized. So other actors have copy of it. The more actors there is, the safer it is that the hash will be sufficient, because if one from 4 actors have changed the database, it's 3 to 1 story. You try to forge data, and it's a problem for the forging actor. You can store more information, but then you are building more robust system. You can do this. You can write more smart contracts, like translate agreements between corporate actors, players, companies, and write those smart contracts like they would mirror paper documents. And that is very smart thing to do, but it's not mandatory to create auditable system that is ready for financial institutions.
Okay, so if there is a person that would like to build or buy such a system for themselves, so what's the ROI for the B2B buyer? Where do savings come from, and what's the takeaway for the potential buyer or builder of such a system?
When we speak of construction, for example, because
yes, of course,
we are here, we said trillions, billions of money lost because of issues like delays, of wrongdoings, of bad craftsmanship.
Mm-hmm. But those trillions, they refer to the entire industry. Yeah?
Yes, to entire industry.
If we think about just one kind of one construction project.
So that's the real takeaway. The savings here don't appear magical. They come from removing the gap between work done on site and money released for it. It comes from fewer disputes, faster payments, less reconciliation, and a single trusted record that every party can see. But only the parts they are allowed to. That's what's possible when deep industry complexity disciplined engineering software built around real workflows, real parties, and real budgets. So what we calculated is within construction industry, you can save $7 for each dollar spent on commissioning and surveying parties. Because, yes, that's a lot, because there is no delays, there is no fabrication of new equipment that was body mounted. And if it was distracted and it can't be reversed, still you are ahead of time. You lose less time. You know who is responsible. Your insurance is cheaper. If your insurance is cheaper, your credit is cheaper. So even it's like 0.25% cheaper with trillions, millions. You can do the math. It's a lot of money. So yes, we think at least one for 7.
So Szymon, thanks a lot for breaking it down, for sharing your knowledge and all the details about those complex processes in the construction industry.
Thanks for the invite. Thank you for listening, and see you soon.
Yeah. And if you are building something complex, that's exactly the kind of problem Espeo can help you with. Remember to stay on the block to stay ahead.